Okay, let's look at this question. 4 years ago, Zhang began depositing $700 at the beginning of every 6 months into an account. The interest rate was 4.47% compounded semi-annually. So answer the following questions and round all answers to two decimal places where necessary. So what is the present account balance? All right, so let's start. We have the deposits are at the beginning of every 6 months. So first we have to get into the begin mode, BGN, right? Okay. Next, what do we have? Well, the deposits are made every 6 months. So that tells us that PY is equal to 2. Okay. Now, also, we see down here that the compounding is semi-annually. So that tells us that CY is equal to 2. So let's start the calculator. To get into begin mode, we go second PMT, and then second enter, and there we see begin displayed in the top right corner and right on the screen there. So we click on clear and we're out of there. So PY is equal to 2 and CY is equal to 2 right over here. These are the two numbers we will enter. So let's go second IY. We put 2 for PY, and then that is also the value for CY. So let's get out of there. Now we're finished with that part. The next part is to get at N. So N, for the calculation for N, what do we need? Well, we need to get the number of years. All right, so what's the number of years? Well, it's 4 years ago this started. So we use that 4, and we go second NN, and N has the value of 8. All right, now next entry is for IY, and IY, if we look up here, we see it's 4.47. So let's clear that. And IY is 4.47. So we proceed to enter it on the calculator, 4.47 for IY. Now present value will be 0 because it's just being started. So present value is equal to 0. We enter that 0 for the present value. Now, what's the payment? Well, the payment is, we are given the amount right up there. The payment is 700. Let's get there and let's highlight it, depositing $700. So that is the payment. Now we will put it in a negative because we are paying. So negative payment, and then we compute the future value. And the future value turns out to be future value is equal to $6,193.60. Okay, so that is that part. That is part number 1, and this here is the answer. So let's highlight it. Maybe you can highlight it in green. So that's future value. Now that future value will become the present value for the next set of calculations. Now let's go down here, and it says that because he stops making deposits immediately, what happens there? Well, it means that the PMT becomes 0. Okay, that is what happens there. So we can underline that part, and this will go on for 10.5 years from now. Now the interest is 4.47 compounded semi-annually. Now because deposits have stopped, okay, we will use a different color for this, stops making deposits. So that's why PMT is 0. So now this becomes a compound interest question. And for compound interest, we know what happens. we know that PY is equal to CY, and in this case, it's equal to 4.4, sorry, not 4.47, but it is semi-annually. So PY equals CY is equal to 2, and that is coming from right down here, compounded semi-annually, correct? Okay, so let's go and see. Now, this value right here, the future value, remember I said it would become the present value. So the present value would be equal to 6193.60. So let's just enter that as the present value for the next set of calculations. Now, PY is 2 and CY is 2. So we have taken care of this entry right here. So let's clear these out now so we can proceed. And after that, we are trying to find the value for N. So what is N equal to? Well, we take the 10.5 years, that's right here, this 10.5 years, and we put that number in here, 10.5 second n, and n takes on the value of 21. All right, so what else is there? Well, we have the present value right there, 6193.60. We could recall it to make sure that it is that. And because the deposits have stopped, correct, the payment will be 0 right there. So let's put that in, 0 for the payment, and then we will compute the future value, and that is the future value. So payment is equal to 0, and the future value is equal to $9,852.23. So this is the final answer for the future value, and that takes care, that takes care of the question. Yes, how much will be in the account in 10.5 years from now? So that completes the solution to the question.